think we're live.
Oh, are we?
But YouTube isn't telling me that we're live.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's so good.
It is so good.
Let me tell you how good it is. Yeah, it's not even. It has no clue that I'm live. Oh, all right. Well, let's just do that.
Nope, we're good. We're good.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, there it is. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to see everyone's here. This is the pre-show. We had the pre-show amongst the two of us. Now it's just the pre-show.
Yep.
All right. I had to harass Vinnk into this one, but we're all going to enjoy it. Oh, hold on. I also got. Wait. Keep going, because I can. Space, the final frontier.
Yeah, you're flying away from my planet, but that's fine.
Oh, sorry. I got it. Dip. I got to also angle it just right. Yep. There we go. Should puppy Star Trek this thing. This is also the Star Trek Discovery Enterprise. Spoilers.
Yep.
Which is also the same as the Strange New Worlds Enterprise.
I'm getting a spaceship on our sensor.
There we go. I'm just going to leave it right here.
Yep.
Speaking of Discovery, I'll just put Discovery right here. Because I'm sure I'll be talking about it quite a bit.
We're getting some feedback from Mr. Satoshi saying your mic is too loud and my mic is too quiet.
All right, I'm going to go into my settings and adjust those things.
Yay.
Oh yeah, I'm all the way up.
Okay.
I'm going to go down to 100 instead of 200. Is that better, Satoshi?
There we go. Let's all talk for a while. Hello. Hi. All right. And turn the volume down of our bumper, because it usually comes in.
I don't know if I can. It's been. I tell you, Satoshi, it has been a technological journey with this stuff, and it's incredibly upsetting how we get things just right, and then a Windows update just breaks everything.
Yep.
So we were just discussing that before the show, but
okay, hold on. Does this bring my mic up? Is that good? Are we?
You don't sound any different to me, but
I don't. I mean, I don't know if I can. I'm using just this. I'm using this cheap microphone.
Oh yeah. When you held it up to your face, it was better.
Okay.
If I'm still too loud, I'm going to bring it down more. How about this? How about this? I like how I went from having a microphone that was not loud enough to being too loud. I actually enjoy having this problem after weeks of the Pile of Shame show. There's something wrong with my onboard jack. I don't think physically. I think it's Windows 11 being stupid about it. But anyway.
Yep.
Okay, that's not perfect, he says. All right, our sound engineer has spoken. Let's run the intro.
Okay, it's going to be really loud. Be careful, guys.
Thank you for being on the end of another episode.
Oh, that's the wrong one. Try again.
That's the outro. Okay.
From the creators of the video game podcast, Famicom Dojo.
They still make that?
And the enthusiastic support of the Nerd and Tie Network.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Comes a podcast about the single most important question in human history.
What is the meaning of life?
Will I ever find love?
Can God create a rock so big even Pumpkin Man cannot
How
lift
can
it?
I find fulfillment?
What happens after you
Does
die?
this look infected to
Is there
you?
such a thing as karma or fate?
What is true?
Have you guys seen my keys?
What should I be watching on TV? Every episode of Two Boobs Watch the Tube, Vinnk and his best bra, Sean Orange, take a shallow dive into a current or retro TV show. Will they love it?
I guess.
Will they hate it?
No one.
Will they fight about it?
No one cares.
Did Sean even watch it?
No.
Is Vinnk still listening as Sean talks about Transformers?
Definitely not.
These questions and more will be answered on Two Boobs Watch the Tube.
It's a good intro.
I love it so much.
It's still a good intro. That's nice.
Shout out to the rest of the Nerd and Tie crew. We may have to do a new one for season 2 since we have a new show.
Hey.
So maybe not like a totally new one. We'll just add some more. We'll layer in some more voices.
I mean, there's a lot of life's questions that probably need to be explored in our intro.
I agree.
Yep.
Miles is correct.
So,
yeah. So,
Star trekking across the universe on
Well,
the
before we
Starship
get to that-
Enterprise. Oh,
That's a great song, by the way.
thank you.
Dr. Demento or something?
Oh, I mean,
I've
I don't
heard
know
it
who.
on-
I mean, I've heard it on Dr. Demento. I don't
Right.
know who the original artist was, but I think it was actually contemporary. Like, I think it was a novelty song that was made while the show was still on, rather
Yes.
than in retrospect.
Boldly going forward because we can't find reverse.
Yes, that was it. There's Klingons on the starboard bow, starboard bow, starboard bow. Klingons on the starboard bow, Captain. My favorite line on that is, "It's worse than that. He's dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. It's worse than that. He's dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. Dead." Okay. Anyway, sorry.
It's a wonderful song. Before we get to that, though, we should talk about what we've been watching. So, Vinnk, tell me what you watch, what you really, really watch.
I'll tell you what I watch, what I really, really watch. I mean, I've been watching a lot of first episode, like early episodes of things. The only thing I finished Severance last night, and I really want to talk about it. I really want to.
All right,
but later.
Spoilers. That's our next episode, y'all.
That's our next episode. But I didn't know if I'd have it finished by now, so we're Star Trekking across the unit. Okay, I'll stop. But and I've been watching. I've watched through Gravity Falls probably the 5th time now. I mean, not watching it at marathon style, but my kids keep watching through it. As soon as they finish it, they start it over again, and I pick up episodes here and there. Been watching first episodes of a number of things. Watched the first episode of Sandman. Very interested to keep going with that one. I only stopped because I wanted to do my homework for this episode.
Oh, sure. That's fair. I appreciate that, by the way.
Yeah, no problem. And then I've been watching Loot, which is interesting.
You have been watching it. Great.
Just the first couple. Again, I start a lot of things.
Sure.
I've been watching Bob's Burgers while I do other things, because do you watch Bob's Burgers?
I should, but I haven't. No.
Like
no, I started that one and I was like, but I know it gets better.
Yeah, the first season I didn't care for so much, so I stopped for many years, and then I got back and it came into its own a little later. And what's nice about that show is you don't have to watch it. Hold on, let me explain that a little bit. The show is based off. I mean, the show has that whole mentality from its creators of like home movies and stuff like that, where the visuals are very secondary to the audio.
Okay.
Like there's other than a few episodes, most of it takes place in like only 4 different locations. It's like the upstairs of the Belcher house, the burger restaurant itself, the school, and like as long as you can kind of know where the characters are, most of the animation is just the characters talking to one another, so like I think it would work perfectly as a radio show. It would require very little change. And I think that's what I like about it, is it's very narrative focused rather than which is strange for animated work, but I'll tell you, I often have it on while I'm doing dishes and things like that. And if there's something that I can't pick out from the audio, I'll look over at it for a while. But for the most part, I just enjoy the witty repartee.
Okay.
And
nice.
First season of Bob's Burgers I didn't like, just because I thought that the characters seemed just a little bit too cruel to one another. And I think like it's the same reason I didn't like the first few episodes of The Office, the American version.
Sure.
I thought that by series 3, series 2, it was more approachable. And I feel the same way about Bob's Burgers.
Well, that's also when it became its own show compared to the original British version.
Yeah, just kind of copying things like that. Anyway, so what have you been watching?
Well, I'll tell you what I watch, what I really, really watch. She-Hulk Attorney at Law is on Disney Plus right now.
Is that a sequel to Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law?
It has a very similar vibe to it, which I really appreciate. But it's based on the comic book, which is also kind of amazing. But I did a quick Twitter thing about it, or did I put it on Facebook too? I think I put it on
Yeah.
our Facebook page too, the Two Boobs Facebook page.
Yeah.
Because there was an episode of Larry Wilmore's Black on the Air, which you should all listen to. It's a great
Okay.
show. But also this episode in particular interviewed. Oh, I'm going to get her name wrong. It's not Michelle Gow, is it? Oh no. I'll just go to the page and it'll tell me. I can edit this out later. It's fine.
Little buzz marketing.
Jessica Gow. So it was an interview with Jessica Gow, and after they talk about like her life story, she talks about how the first episode was actually the fourth episode originally, because they want to like drop right into the show and then keep going.
Which is the opposite of Star Trek, where the episode I watched which was the second pilot recorded, was the fourth episode.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. We should. Yeah. When we get to that, we'll talk about that some more, because I watched the show in a different order than the airing order, at least initially. But so the second episode of She-Hulk, which has been released as of this recording, was the original pilot, and I can see how they probably like took a couple of scenes from the first episode and from that episode and stuck it onto the new first episode to make it make more sense. So that episode's a little short by comparison, but anyway, I'm really looking forward to it. I really like the She-Hulk comic. I like what they're doing. It's fun, and like, you know, the Marvel shows are typically like not very like dry, but this one's particularly comedic. It's like a half-hour sitcom, more or less, with Hulks.
Yep.
But apart from that, I've also been watching. I've watched all the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which was, well, I guess mini series, because there's no reason to make a season 2, but I guess they could. That's 6 episodes. I finished How I Met Your Father, even though I said I wasn't going to. It's growing on me.
I watched the first 6. It's on Disney Plus in America. In Japan for some reason.
Fascinating.
The same with a lot of like Hulu and Star shows, which is weird because they have Hulu in Japan. I'm not sure how that works out, but I'm watching Bob's Burgers on Disney Plus, and I'm watching How I Met Your Father, but it's several weeks behind, so I don't think the series is even finished yet. So,
I think it is.
No, but I mean in Japan, I don't think it.
In Japan it has. Oh wow, okay.
It's several weeks. It's several weeks behind. Anyway, I don't know. It's, you know what? I have things to say about it. Let's save that.
Okay.
Let's save that.
Yeah, if it's not over, it at least where I saw it, stopped in a pretty stoppable place. So. Okay. And then the last one I wanted to mention was For All Mankind Season 3, because I feel like we're so behind the ball on this one, and I really want to catch up. But we'll save that for later. But suffice to say,
I know that's my homework.
Right. It's very much for all mankind this season, by which I mean there's a lot of spectacle.
Okay.
Which is sometimes good and sometimes bad. But I did enjoy it. But I haven't watched it twice, unlike the other seasons yet, because there's just too much other TV to watch.
There's so much TV right now. Oh, sorry.
Right.
Go ahead.
Like the show we're gonna talk about today. That, you know, if you haven't watched in the last 56 years, is really your own fault.
Yeah, I suppose. Spoilers. Okay.
Do we even have a spoiler section for this? Should we even bother?
No.
Okay.
No. I got. Okay. So this now, Star Trek and I, we have a relationship. Star Trek and I.
Tell me about it.
I will tell you about our relationship. I watched Star Trek as reruns when I was in early elementary school with my dad, who was a fan. And I remember bits and pieces of it, but I was kind of too young to really get a lot out of it. You know what I mean? I liked the Tribbles episode, because everybody likes the Tribbles episode when you're 7.
Of course.
And the second movie I ever went to see in the theater was Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home.
Solid choice.
First movie was
you're the right age for it too. Yeah, but.
The first movie was the Care Bears movie.
Nice.
Yeah. But I remember loving it, adoring it. I thought it was great. I have not watched it in 30 years.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and I refuse to because my memory of it is very good. And when I read a plot synopsis of it recently, I'm like, that's what it was about. Nope, not watching it because my memory is so good. I
Oh,
want to preserve that. I want to preserve that. I don't want anybody to take that away from me.
let me tell you how true that is. Because my experience was, my dad was a huge fan. Like that Doctor Who, comic books, all this stuff. Like, he's the reason that I'm a nerd. Like
Yeah.
he dressed up as Spock for Halloween one year when he like performed with this band in like the 70s and whatever. So
Yep.
like, big into it. So he would get the, I think, Columbia House or whatever it is. Like
Yep.
he get the
Yep.
videos
Yep. Yep.
through that
Yeah.
subscription service.
One of my friends got, every month he'd bring in like, yeah. But
So that's
yeah.
how I watched it, was in that production order, which makes way more sense than the airing order. Because I think
yeah,
the
I
first
was
one was
gonna-
the
I
Man
was-
Trap, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a terrible introductory episode.
Well, I didn't watch it, but like I did watch the episode that was the actual second pilot, the
Yes.
Kirk pilot, and I have things to say, but we'll
Okay.
get to that.
Before we get to that, brief history of Star Trek, y'all. There was a first pilot called The Cage with Captain Christopher Pike. Still had
Yep.
Spock. Some of the people you're never gonna hear from again, except for number one. And we'll come
Nimoy.
to that later. But it wasn't picked up for series. The current legend is that Lucille Ball is who gave them a second chance at a second pilot.
Yep.
They replaced
Yep.
the lead. They kept Nimoy because apparently, according to the For the Love of Spock documentary, like Gene Roddenberry had Nimoy in mind to play an alien on his show, but they refined the guy a little bit. They hired Shatner. They got DeForest Kelly, and they tried again, and it was better this time, and they got picked up for series, a 16 episode run. So we're talking about the first season, this episode, which is actually 29 episodes, 30 if you count The Cage, which you probably shouldn't. But it started with Where No Man Has Gone Before, which is in the intro.
Yes.
If you were to Vinnk, summarize Star Trek, how would you describe it?
Star Trek. Okay. It's a floating procedural drama. I don't know if it's just the episodes that you picked for me. Because spoilers right now, not really a spoiler. I didn't have time to watch the entire classic series for this episode. So I told Sean to pick out 4 episodes for me, and I watched them. And the ones I watched, some of them, they never left the ship at all. It's just kind of, and actually maybe better for it, but like a lot of negotiation and stuff like that. A lot of, and
they had no money.
No, there was no money. And when they
Vesely
do
was
leave
very
the ship,
poor.
and when they do leave the ship, they go to the planets, which are all the same. And that's fine. I grew up, I watched Doctor Who, so I've got a high tolerance for that. But Star Trek is a 5-year mission to explore new life and civilizations and all that, like the intro says. But to tell you the honest truth, from these first episodes, it seems a little unclear what their mission is in the first place, because it seems like wherever they go, they encounter people who have already been there. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's the episodes that you showed me, but it doesn't feel like to explore strange new worlds and new civilizations. No, they're almost always finding like, this is remnants of a space colony that we've sent here 200 years ago. And it's just like, so like in that respect, it seems to lack a little bit of focus. Now, again, I only watched a few episodes, but I mean, in a way that makes it more episodic. There doesn't seem to be any grand scheme of things. It's always just like, let's find something. Let's introduce a new character. Let's kill him off instantly. Let's, and and I mean that's fine. That's fine. And I think the problem is I'm watching these early episodes before they had things defined. So there's a lot of characters
yeah.
who are like the bridge has different people every episode. Like
Right.
so like there's no, and like the pilot that you showed me has other than Nimoy and Bones, pretty much everybody's different from what they would establish later.
Right. Like Sulu,
Um,
Sulu and Scotty are in that pilot, but they don't really have any
Yes,
lines and they aren't named.
it's like a silent science officer or something like that. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And then there's the lady who's in a number of the early episodes who I read. I'm like, I don't know this character at all, and I read, and it's like she only made it halfway through series 1 or something like
Oh,
that.
are you talking about Yeoman Rand?
Yes,
Okay. Yeah.
but anyway,
Yeah.
so anyway, they go to different places. They talk about things a lot. They talk at the camera a lot, and they bring up really interesting philosophical points, and then don't really go anywhere.
And then punch him.
And then punch him. Okay,
Or like
we'll get there.
the double booted like body slam.
No, my favorite is the put your hands together and bring it down on somebody. I like, and like not even their head, like their shoulder. Like,
Right.
yeah, Kirk goes right for the shoulders.
I thought for sure you were
Yeah.
going to go straight to the intro and just repeat that
Yeah.
verbatim, or
Yep.
like do the wagon train to the stars bit.
Ooh.
Either one would have been acceptable.
All right. I'm sorry I let you down.
No, you're fine. So yeah, where no man has gone before, it's real
Yeah.
rough. Like
Yeah.
you were saying, like the costumes aren't set yet. A lot of the terminology.
Oh, I
is set
like
in-
the sweaters though. I like that
They
they're
look
all wearing.
well. Spock's in
turtleneck
particular
sweaters.
looks like it's barely holding together. Like there's something going on with his neck. Like I don't know if it's supposed to be like an alien or a Cardassian or what, but it looks like it's not holding on there.
Well, I thought it was by design. It was so that when Kirk was rumbling, half of it could come up, like exposing half of his chest.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it seems definitely. Everybody's wearing yellow. It looks like a pajama party. Is what it looks like.
And it doesn't get much better from that. There's even like later episodes where like people remark on the jankiness of the uniforms. It's
Is
pretty.
jankiness one of your human emotions?
Oh, good lord.
And
Oh
like
god.
Spock's
I like
eyebrows
how
are
Spock
weird.
smiles when
and-
he
yeah.
says that.
Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, it's like, for one thing, what I don't. Okay, should we just go through the episodes one by one?
Yeah. So where no man has gone before.
Okay, where no man has gone before starts with the 4D chess. Didn't know that was so early in the series.
Yeah, right?
That's like the first scene or whatever, and Kirk and Spock are playing it, and it's like, I am an alien. I don't have your emotions. By the way, did you know I've got human blood? It's like, okay, well, that's the first line you ever say. That's interesting. Like
This is where I got to give a shout out to
yeah.
Casual Trek, one of our new sister shows, where they complain about the pilots talking about the characters, like they talk with their bios basically, and Spock very much does this in this episode.
Yeah. And anyway, and then so let's see. This is the one with the ESP and the silver eyes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Gary
So-
Mitchell's the helmsman, I think, or is he the ops guy? I can never
Something
tell.
like
They
that.
keep swapping
Yeah.
those positions. But,
Constantly. I could not keep track of who's on the crew. But anyway, they beam aboard something. So the transporter's there right away. They
Where
beam
is it
aboard
that
this.
they've gone though? Where is it that they've gone where no man has gone before?
They went to a colony that man had been to 200 years ago.
No, you're thinking of a different episode. They went to the galaxy's edge, right?
Oh no.
No?
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yes.
There's a lot of
Yes.
techno babble going on. And one
Yes.
thing I'd like to point out is I kind of wish that I had seen the original version rather than the remastered, because it's like janky, nice CG.
Right.
I
Yeah,
kind
if
of
you
wish
guys watch on
I
Paramount
kind of
Plus,
want to see the original visuals. Yeah.
yeah. It's very much different. Like it's distractingly good CG. instead.
Yeah, so it's like, but anyway, okay, so they go. I don't know. They go where man has definitely gone before.
Yeah.
And they say that a crew is wiped out, and he's listened to the tapes. I like that. He's like,
Right.
let's see if any of these computer tapes still work. I
Hilarious.
love that kind of technology. I love how they've got analog clocks in the future. I like how one of the premises is that we've never seen what Romulans look like before because we didn't have video conferencing technology.
Right.
But anyway, sorry, we'll get to that. But so a guy has his ESP enhanced because something, and then he starts becoming like a omniscient, godlike person. But that's after like reading this ship's library that are on like things that looks like mini discs,
Right.
or whatever, that are beamed to an overhead projector. I love it. I actually really love that. It's very clear that they've like repurposed an overhead projector to do that. I like it. It's just like,
he reads at data speed. It's like
yeah,
you're supposed to be
something
like
that.
oh no, what's happening to Gary?
And so Kirk was a professor, a teacher. Well, like, okay, it seems like Gary Marshall, the guy who gets the ESP, was like Kirk's student and friend.
I think that just meant that he took him under his wing in Starfleet, because like Kirk is like, they say later, I don't even know if they say it during this first season, but he's like one of the fastest people to become captain ever.
Okay, because they said 15 years ago or something.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah. But anyway, I don't. It feels to me like he was mentioning that he was a teacher or something. So was that retconned out or something? Or
there are a lot of continuity in especially early season 1 of Star Trek is something you should not worry about. There are a lot of things they were still working out. Like it's not until like around after the first spate of episodes, the first 16 that they made, that they started really going back to the drawing board and figuring these things out. So you don't hear them talking about Starfleet or the Federation or any of the other alien races that are a part of it. You have humans and you have Spock, and you have they talk about Earth Command, and they talk about like the Earth space program and Earth colonies. Like there's no concept of this overarching like United States of space that comes into the show later.
No, that makes sense. And they've also it bothers me how Leonard Nimoy pronounces anything that ends with an OR sound. He's like sensor, tractor beam. I
think he's very much a student of that mid-Atlantic accent. He's originally from Boston. If you hear some of him talking in a Boston accent, he sounds like a natural human being in those movies and scenes. But like at some point he like adopted this other accent that was popular a generation ago from him, and that's just how he sounds now for the rest of his life.
Okay. But anyway, but you're right about the technology and everything like that, because like there were 2 different tricorders in that episode, like a small one and one that looked like my Famicom disk system, like Famicom data recorder.
Right.
And I'm used to the idea that the phaser is like this small little thing, but Kirk had this massive gun.
The giant rifle. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just. So anyway,
I think they also used some of the like the handheld phasers that were from the Cage pilot, so they hadn't gotten the clip-in little thing into the big phaser yet. Yeah.
So anyway, the guy's getting ESP, so his ability is multiplying every couple of minutes or whatever, and he's evil like nearly from the beginning. And I think that is kind of the weaker part of it, because if we had if he was an established character for a couple episodes, we knew that Kirk and him had a history. But instead he's like, by the way, we have a history. Do you remember that we had a history? We used to be friends. By the way, I'm evil now. Like there's no build up. It's just like so immediately I'm just like kill him, because like he means nothing.
Even Kirk says that he probably should kill him.
Yeah,
because of what they know happens to the other ship.
Spock
says it. Yes.
Which again, that's not the Spock that I think I know.
Right.
Because, yeah, but so he's like, kill him. I have no emotions. Kill him. You know, this is like, you know.
Right. Very, very logically, you just must kill him. That actually fits in better with, well, you keep mentioning Balance of Terror. It fits in well with that. It also fits in well with like the Discovery series opener, the Vulcan Hello, where it's just like, we know that Klingons are aggressive, so we just murder them whenever we see them.
Yep. But anyway, so the guy, his ESP keeps growing. He kind of harasses a nurse who decides to like him, or a doctor, researcher.
She's not a nurse. No, okay. Can I talk about her quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Dr. Elizabeth Denner, whatever, Dehner.
Yeah.
She's a medical professional, and like this was a big deal. Like I was looking for stuff like this because in the Cage you had things like, I can't use having like a woman on the bridge. And like number one is like the most like intelligent, capable person, like one of the first women to be on a starship bridge. But she's like basically an emotionless computer, which they gave to Spock later. But so instead with this show, this premiere, they make her a capable professional woman who's good at her job right up until this point.
They make her, she goes on, it's like they make fun of her for being like a walking freezer or whatever, I think was the term they used or something. And then she's like, no, I am a strong, capable woman. Oh, hello. It's like I'm like, oh, is this a new this could be an interesting character. Nope. Oh, I love him because he is mean to me. I don't know. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, it gets tense, y'all. Like this is a pretty horny show, and I didn't realize it until I was an adult. Like I didn't want to watch this episode again because I remember hating it as a kid. But like just watching how they present Dr. Daner from the get-go, I'm like, oh, she's like smoldering. She's like, I'm this strong, capable woman, and also I'm way hot. And then like Gary's like, I see that. I got my eyes of silver now, so I can see that. And he just grabs her, and it's very
Yep. And he grabs around her, so like he's definitely it's. And I'm
he's
just
like, I know you like it. It's like it's very 60s.
And they continue the dialogue going on. She never like pushes back at all. And I'm like, well, there goes strong, capable woman right there, But anyway,
this is a pattern throughout the first season.
I know. And then then he's like, I have ESP. I will probably kill you all. Oh, well, we have a past, so I'm just going to strand you on a planet, which actually seems somehow meaner.
Right.
Okay, but anyway, because he'll definitely die, but his power grows, and then she decides that since she has some ESP, she's going to stay with him, and then they're like Adam and Eve making their new gods, and it's just it's a reason to keep yelling the word God or whatever. They're like, you can't be a god because gods need morals or something. It's like, I don't need morals because I am God, and it's
even
like,
from the first episode, William Shatner fights God. Just
Yep. And then there's this battle, and he makes and he has seemingly unlimited power. So he makes a grave for Kirk, James R. Kirk, by the way, and which is something I wouldn't have noticed if it wasn't the high definition Netflix version. But anyway, So he makes it so he's obviously able to move ground to make a hole and conjure a tombstone from thin air, but he's decided to kill Kirk by dropping a rock on his head. Okay, so this is
there's always that human factor,
Okay, then they have then they've
he's made Dr. Daner his Esper girlfriend during this time, don't forget.
Yep.
So
and then he's conjured plastic trees. His own Garden of Eden. But then she goes off to talk with Kirk, which apparently the psychic can't hear because he's like meters away. And they have their own little conversation where she's like, well, Kirk's kind of hot too. Maybe I should listen to him. But anyway,
It's not.
okay.
No, it's not the first time that Kirk tries
know.
to seduce a woman into remembering her duty after she goes off the rails, like
Yeah.
thinking man hot. And I feel like it's supposed to be a positive comment on women's sexual liberation in the 60s,
Sure.
but it just it happens over and over again so often.
So anyway, so she turns out to be like, oh, I don't want to be a god after all. I want to zap this guy. So they have a zap battle back and forth until his eyes go back normal.
Yeah.
Where Kirk sees his opportunity to get in some punching.
Yep.
And then there's just like a lot
because
of,
remember the
Yeah.
note they got from the
I know.
first
Yeah.
from the first pilot was it was too cerebral.
Yep. Oh,
So-
yeah. Well, it's not cerebral at all. They're just hitting each other in the
they're
head
fighting
until it's not. And anyway, they're punching. They're fighting in the grave tomb. They're punching. And then but then he starts getting his power back because Kirk's like, I forgive me, friend, and he's like, I'm not going to forgive you because I've got all my power back. And it's like, oh no, a rock, and dead.
And dead.
Like,
Was that enough?
and I'm like, that's no way that killed him. Like,
Right.
Kirk was shooting him with a rifle earlier and he was fine. And like, he has
Right.
like all this power. He seems invincible, but like the rock got him. And then she's dead too because that would be a real loose end if she wasn't. I mean, that's the whole, that's the whole
like
thing.
Gary
Like,
Gary had shocked her, and because she was
Yep.
second and weaker, she just
That's
dies from lingering sadness, like Padme. I don't know,
yeah.
but she's just out of it. It's like, I remember my duty too late, but I saved you, Captain.
I'm having a woman's period.
Thank you, Crichton. There are some redeeming qualities, I feel like, to this pilot,
Okay.
though. Like,
Okay.
even though Spock is very different, I
Yeah.
feel like he's a very capable XO. Like
Sure,
he
She dies from plot weakness.
nice.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, they don't have him like fully down yet. Like in later episodes, he'll, instead of being like, I have an ancestor who married a human, and then he'll admit that it's his mother and she was a teacher and his father's an ambassador. Then you actually see them in season 2. But small
So
things
this
like that.
so this god made a rock that even he could not lift. That is a great comment. Get that on the screen. That's wonderful.
Okay, I gotta go with it.
Oh man.
That's good. Nice job, Argus.
Oh, I love that. Anyway.
So that was a good thing. Sorry, my notes are right here on this episode.
Okay.
I keep mentioning the Enterprise is a horny ship, which does not abate at all in later episodes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
The Ready Room set is like,
Yeah.
it's amazing and it's never seen again. Like
Yep,
it's got
yep,
like
yep,
this cool like overhead thing, and it's just
It looks like a
feels
snack bar. Like,
well, maybe it feels like Strange New Worlds kind of like saw
Yeah.
that design and went, ooh, let's
Yeah.
use that. And then, later on they just have like this table with like hastily put together walls around it, and for the rest of the series it's very low budget and disappointing. But like in this one pilot episode, it's like, I want to hang out in that room and talk more about space stuff. But beyond those things and the patterns that they end up establishing for the rest of the show, it's still not my favorite, but I don't hate it as much as I thought I was going to.
Okay.
But Lord, do I wish that they hadn't really adhered to this bit of continuity for Discovery season 4.
yeah.
It's a long story. I won't get into it.
Okay. Move to the next episode where we got.
Okay,
we're burning
next one's a
midnight oil.
mock time. Not a mock time. Is it a
Naked
mock
time?
Naked time. Sorry, thank you. Yes. Naked
How can you
time.
forget naked? And like the title really only refers to Sulu, who's shirtless
Right, he's the
for
only
half the
shirtless
episode.
one.
But like, okay, now one of the very few episodes of Next Generation I saw was the Naked Now.
Right.
Is this connected in any way? It was a long time ago I
Yes.
saw that.
Yes. So
Okay.
this is actually kind of how I got to watching the original series again
Okay.
was a number of factors. So, Strange New Worlds, which for those who
Yep.
don't know, I hope we can talk about someday when Vink's able to watch it, is basically the pickup of the Cage pilot, and is a whole
Yep.
series based on Pike and his adventures, which
Yep.
season 1 of the original series establishes are events that occurred about 10 years prior to what we're seeing in the original series here. But you also get, I completely lost my train of thought. Sorry.
That's okay. Well, you're thinking of it. I'm going to give it a full review.
I went back and I started watching episodes that were like referenced by or loosely connected to Strange New Worlds, and then I started watching Next Generation, which had the Naked Now.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I better go back and watch Naked Time.
Yeah.
And before I watch Naked Now, because they, in that episode of Next Generation, they do reference the events that occurred on Kirk's Enterprise, as they put it, and they find the cure, but it doesn't work on this strain of the virus that's not a virus, and they have to figure it out some more. But like, it was a deliberate callback, I think, in order to calm the fears of people who were like, who is this new crew? What are they doing on my Enterprise? Like, right.
Yeah.
So they are related. Yes.
So starts off pretty promising. They go down to an alien planet that for the first time is not a rock quarry. And they're trying to figure out what killed this crew. There's someone died being in taking a shower with their clothes on, and other people just were at the scanner, whatever. Doesn't really say. And then like okay, we're on a strange planet where everyone's been wiped out by something. Why don't you take your gloves off and touch stuff? By the way, the suits that they're wearing look like a cross between a beekeeper suit and a hazmat suit. Like, it's just really like, it's
I should remove this. This is a good idea.
But anyway, okay, they go back and it has put something that apparently limits inhibition, I guess, depending on what your inhibition is. In the Next Generation one, it was mostly horniness, but in this one, it's only partially horniness. Yep, Data.
Right. Yeah, it worked on Data too. That's right.
Yeah, but anyway,
is
but in
my
this
blood
one,
like your blood? If you prick me, do I not leak?
Indeed. But anyway, in this one, your hot female doctor, of course, succumbs to the horniness, which is the latent feeling in all 60s women, apparently.
Right. But this is how we find out that Nurse Chapel is in love with Spock. Like the third episode of the series, more or less.
Yep.
It doesn't really matter.
But again, but the whole thing with Spock, like, oh, it's weird when he's under the alien influence, he has all these other feelings. But it's like, it's so early in the series, we haven't even established who Spock is yet. So now he just looks like manic depressive, It's like, because you gave me another episode, we'll talk about later, the farm episode or whatever, where Spock's like swinging from trees, and I'm like, oh, because I don't think he's been established enough as a serious character that we see this as being a strange behavior for him. But anyway,
on the other hand, I feel like Nimoy played that so
very
well.
Okay.
So well. He's so good. He's like consistently strong in this whole series.
Nimoy's performance is the thing that I took from the Naked Time the most. I thought that was really good. He was the fact that he was crying, the fact that like it allowed him to feel these emotions or whatever, and like I thought it was very good. But again, I think it would have been a lot more effective if it would have been a later season episode. That we'd establish, because we know Spock because of everybody in the world knows the Spock character now because of the show becoming so popular. So watching it now, you're like, oh, that's really different for Spock. But at the time it aired, it was like what, episode 2 or 3 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
In the production order, I don't know. So Yeah.
I think it was Air
But anyway,
Order 3 because the Naked Now was also TNG Air Order 3.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So then you have the least convincing knife fight ever, where he's got what has to be a butter knife.
Right.
It looks so dull. Like it at least give him a steak knife or something, but it was definitely a butter knife. And so he fell on, he's not threatening, and he falls on it himself, but maybe that's for a plot point because Bones keeps going like, that ought not have killed him. Like, yeah, I agree.
Right. He dies because he lost the will to live.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
something like that. If only he knew some Irish folk songs.
What was his
my
name?
God.
Was it Finnegan?
Something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
he takes over
It was just
engineering.
like, yeah,
He locks everyone
yeah.
out. This is repeated in the Naked Now with Wesley instead, where he takes over engineering. Finnegan will show up later. He's like the only one I can think of, the only minor character I can think of who
that
gets
lives.
a repeat.
That lives at all.
Yeah, he not only lives and doesn't blow up the ship, but he gets to come back. He gets to come back in The Conscience of the King, because apparently he and maybe I should have had you watch this one instead. Apparently he and Kirk lived in the same colony where like half the population got Thanos'd by their crazy governor. And he tries to kill the guy when they figure out who he might be, hiding away as a theater actor. So it was a very interesting choice to bring him back, and bring him back for that role. But anyway, because he's very different here. And
I mean, then there's the tensest moment of, can we get a door open in time?
right. Like
we have to burn
this
this
gotta,
intricate
carefully
tape,
Yep, I can't work any faster than this.
Yeah. Okay, but anyway, you get to see I mean, there's some shirtless Sulu, which is totally oh my. But and he's like into fencing, sure. But it's like early in the episode, did I tell you I was into fencing? Remember that for later, please. After all the, it's just because we don't know the characters so well that like everything has to be exposition, and I think that's where the weakness. I think that Star Trek gets good when you know the characters, and then when something's out of character, it feels out of character.
Well, unexpectedly, Sulu is in so few episodes. Like when he is in the episodes, he has a lot of dialogue, which is great, but he's just not in a lot. I think Rand is in more episodes than Sulu is in that first season.
Okay.
Anyway, favorite moment.
So,
and this highlights Uhura's character pretty well. He like swashbuckles his way onto the bridge he like grabs Uhura. And he's like, I'll save you, fair maiden. And she goes, sorry, neither. And like pushes him away. And like, I love the implications there. Like, not fair because she's dark skinned, but also she is DTF. Just not with Sulu that second.
Yep. So yeah, it was but anyway, it was a fun episode. It was definitely fun, and there were some good emotional things. But like so many early Trek episodes, I feel like they open up these really interesting doors and then don't do anything with
Never
it. Like I
explore
think
them again. Yeah.
it's like, oh, that's really interesting if all inhibition had been, but and they waste so much time in the first part. Like it gets interesting in the second half, but like everything's so slow at the beginning. It's like, okay, slow. And then when it starts getting exciting, it's like, okay, wrap it up. Now our crisis is that we can't get the door open. Like, it could have been a really interesting way it should have been a two-parter is what it should have been.
They don't have many of those. They have precisely one in this first season for very interesting reasons. But the thing that reminded me of is like they have to fix their decaying orbit. And like this is where I appreciate the science aspect of the science fiction here, because you probably imagine like you go in orbit around a planet, you just like kind of hover there, right? No, they have to conserve energy, and it's just like we're gonna go into a parking orbit. And we're just gonna not spiral down and die. And there are several times during this first season where like that orbit gets disrupted for various reasons. And it's just really important that the ship maintains some kind of attitude control. And I appreciate that about it. But it takes a drunk Irishman to really endanger the ship. Sorry.
Okay. By the way, how many people are supposed to be? How many people are supposed to be on the Enterprise in these?
About around
Like,
400.
what is it?
It fluctuates, but
400.
it's around 400.
Yeah, because I was wondering that because maybe it's only the episodes you showed me, but about a dozen people die off screen in each episode. They're like 9 people died in this, and I'm just like I'm like we've lost 40 people 4 episodes in. Or is anybody going to be left by the end? But I guess it doesn't really matter because since they were not, like in the early episodes, nothing matters. Like they lose half of their bridge each episode.
So like Sulu is more often than not in the helm position, which means that like the dying guest star of the week, like Gary Mitchell, is at ops. And that's the person that you can be sure is going to cause problems. Like in another episode we'll talk about in a second, but that goes away once Chekhov joins in season 2, and it's like, well, now what do we do?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So
maybe we should go on to the next episode, huh?
Let's go on to the next one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one was the Balance of Terror.
Yeah.
And of the episodes you sent me, I think this is my favorite.
Yeah. It's a classic for sure.
It's
probably the best in the first season.
The performances were really solid. It is sad to me that the Romulan commander died at the end of that episode because there was so much more that could have happened there. Like there was, I gotta say, like it reminded me not of a science fiction episode at all, but of like a cat and mouse type thriller game, movie, or I've heard that this was inspired by a movie about submarine combat because of like not being able to fully see the enemy and things like that, and that makes tons of sense. In I do like that what were the phaser the photon torpedoes were called phasers in this one. Or as Spock says, phasors.
Oh, phasors.
Yes, give them 5 more phasor blasts. But like that's
right.
They hadn't really established the whole terminology, but the Centurions, the Romulans, who were just Romans in space.
Right.
I never realized how dumb that was.
Yeah, it's very specific, right?
Super dumb.
Amazingly, right? Like there's a star chart showing like the neutral zone, and it has Romulus on it, and it also has another planet, moon named Remus, which I didn't realize it was named on that graphic, but never spoken about in dialogue. I thought that was a contrivance for Star Trek Nemesis, that like the twin planet Remus and the subspecies of Romulans that were slaves and whatnot, like that new species was a contrivance for that movie. I didn't realize that Remus was like mentioned since they first thought up Romulans. Yep. And I'm so angry that I didn't know that, but now I know that.
I love that the visuals on the computer screen are very clearly made of cardboard and like cut out like physical objects. Like,
I thought you were going with this.
I loved it. It's like all handmade, like, and it's cool because like they could have gone the whole just different sci-fi way, but anyway, it's very interesting. But like, I think it's about, but like. Usually a sci-fi show tries very hard to make their protagonists noble but like they didn't have to kill the Romulans. Do you know what I mean? And in another sci-fi show, they probably wouldn't. I mean, they made a good case for it. Spock's a cold-blooded killer. You know what I mean? Like, but like in other shows, they definitely would have made it that they had no choice. But
Right.
in this one, they definitely had a choice. Like
Right.
the enemy was, it was revenge, of course, for killing all the people on these outposts, but they were leaving. You know what I
They
mean?
were leaving, but here's what Spock
Yeah.
says.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah. Because of the racism.
It's surprising.
Yeah.
Well, because of the racism. I mean, so
Yeah.
first off, my memory of this episode was that Spock knew full well that Romulans looked like Vulcans, and he just didn't tell anybody.
Yes.
But watching it again, he is just as surprised as everyone else. So he's speculating, hey, I'm
if
aware
they come from Vulcans,
there was this violent expansionist period of their history, but in space. Just like humans, and these people are bloodthirsty killers, and you can't get them any quarter or they will destroy us. And the backstory for this is that there was a long nuclear war between the Romulans and Earth that very nearly destroyed both civilizations. So, like, the reason to kill them isn't for revenge so much as we can't let them know what our capabilities are, or they will come for us, and there will be a new war.
Which is why I think this episode doesn't work at all with modern technology in mind, because the whole basis of we don't know what Romulans look like is because the technology of video conferencing didn't exist until very recently. It's like we had no, and like there's obviously no internet, like nobody has any idea, and there's no history either. Like it's that idea. I mean, it works for the plot to be a surprise that they look like that, but remaking this episode would be very, very difficult. This is the first mention in sci-fi of a cloaking device, which I think is very interesting.
Yep.
And
although they find very clever ways of tracking them through that cloak, which is
they do. But I love that. They're like, what I love is like how they show both sides of it. That's what I really, really love. Like Kirk's like, follow their ship, they'll think we're just a shadow, and then it flashes over there or whatever. It's like there's just a shadow following us, but the captain's like, no, because he knows how Kirk must be thinking. So both of their strategies fool everyone but the captains. You know what I mean? Like all throughout this, like. He's like, throw some debris out there. They'll think we were blown up or whatever. And everyone's like, they blew up. We found a body. They're all dead. And Kirk's like, no. It's like, I think that's so interesting. And then they come to respect each other. And what's that famous line at the end? Like, in another something, we could have been friends.
In another reality, I could have called you friend. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, and I'm just like, don't die. Let this bromance continue. Like,
I know. Well, it's Mark Leonard playing the Romulan commander. Not everyone knows, though. He plays Sarek, Spock's father in season 2. But it's such a strong performance.
It really was. And
he's very good. If you guys have never seen something like The Hunt for Red October,
a
literal submarine chase, very similar.
That's what it reminds me of. Yeah.
Yep.
And
very similar.
So again, this episode was probably almost zero budget. The only sets they built was like the Romulan deck and like the control panel that was on fire for the space station. But other than that, it's entirely within the bridge, basically, or whatever. Yeah. But I think it's one of the most effective because the dialogue was good, the acting was really good. There's definitely some parts that are kind of techno babbly and things like that, but I think it was of the episodes you recommended to me, that was my favorite.
I went back and watched this one because as I was going through Strange New Worlds, there was a similar episode where it was a cat and mouse between like the Enterprise and the Gorn, which was like kind of the big bad of the season. Similar to modern Trek, like the Gorn show up in the first season, I think, at the episode Arena, but no one had ever seen a Gorn before. They played like it was the first time they met.
Yeah.
So Strange New Worlds makes them like this scary bad guy, like the Romulans no one's ever seen before. And so they have a very similar chase, like a modern version of that episode. So I wanted to go back and watch Balance of Terror again because I had such fond memories of it, and it did not disappoint. And this also feeds into the whole narrative about like how in Discovery and the Vulcan hello thing is very much within character of the Vulcans and Spock in particular because
Yeah.
of what he says. So I feel like Burnham, Michael Burnham, being a sibling of Spock, would think along very similar lines. So it feels more like a coherent world to me in that regard, which is why it's so jarring in the second half of the first season that Spock, in every other instance where this comes up, he's like, but Captain, what about our duty to sentient life? You can't just kill everyone that you come across. It's just like, what happens to that cold-blooded murder instinct, Spock? They went back to the drawing board with him and rewrote the character after that first season. You can totally tell. Just, anyway.
Yeah. And I mean,
All right, should we go ahead?
there's some interesting issues brought up about racism, anti-Vulcan sentiment, and things like that. Not being able to trust Spock but like one thing that gets me about classic Trek is they definitely live up to that whole stereotype of basically the red-shirted decoy. You've got. I mean, they're not in red shirts, but like they introduce a new character at the beginning of every episode. You know he's going to die by the end of it because you're like, I don't know this character, so they seem awfully important. So at the beginning of this one, there's that wedding. Yeah.
Right. There's that wedding, which I had forgotten about completely.
Yep.
And something that you would expect, because, at the time in the 60s, women didn't serve with men. How would you handle this sort of thing? And it's just like, I'm just going to make my career. There's no rules, as they say later in the show, against fraternization. Or is that in Next Generation? I can't really remember. But, quick aside, that reminds me of Naked Time. Naked Now uses those character moments much better, like Crusher's crush on Picard is a season-long thing. The stuff you find out with Yar and Data, that kind of goes on. Other deep desires. It was actually a really good way to like get the characters to show who they are to you, and they don't forget that for the rest of the season. So they fixed that 20 years later. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Should we move on to the last one on our list?
Well, I mean, I did watch that farm one. I'm just gonna call it the farm one because it takes place on a farm.
Right. They're not on the ship though. In fact, everyone's trying to leave the ship to go to the farm.
That's true. They're not. That's right. And you get to see Spock climb a tree, and there's like, oh, I knew you 6 years ago, and there's a lot of exposition, and it was a fun this side of paradise. That's it.
Yeah, this side of paradise.
I like how I can say it, the farm episode, and people know what I'm talking about. But again, it's like there's the premise. You introduce some new characters, like, but I thought it was fine. But again, it's just this show is so horny.
It's so incredibly horny. I didn't realize how horny it was until I started watching the whole season again. It's just every episode. Horny. Ridiculous.
I mean, it's not like there's a lot. I mean, it's not like there's anything graphic or explicit. Like I could definitely, but like it's just every character is just like, oh, in space, no one can hear you horny. Like it's.
Yep. It's a fact.
But anyway, impression after having watched those episodes, I didn't not enjoy them, but it's very campy, and like I am surprised by how progressive some things are. The multiracial cast, the fact that they're making it seem like in the future this isn't even a big deal. The bigger deal is racism against alien species and things like that. I like when it hits its stride, it's really good. The performances are good. The dialogue is hammy, but like it's interesting to see what their ideas of future technology would be like, and how they they kind of invented the Kindle 45 years before it happened, and things like that. I mean, it obviously didn't turn out quite the same, but like,
Right.
You get to see the first ever on-screen image of someone ghosting someone when Spock refuses to pick up the calls from Kirk. He's like, I can see that his tricorder is on. It's like the equivalent of the ...
Right. Right. That's so good.
I'm like, this holds up. So there's, but am I gonna watch the whole first season? I don't know.
You don't have to. I mean, there's others I could suggest.
Yeah. I have
I suggested this one for a specific reason, though.
Yeah.
There's some good things in there about Spock's past. It's one of the first times that you hear or understand that like Vulcans are like stronger than humans. But also
not against spores. Okay, so
not against spores. But also because like it's the main time in the first season that you get some idea of like what Spock's relationships with like potential romantic partners could be like, because he doesn't give Chapel the time of day. Like we haven't gotten to a mock time yet. That's a season 2 episode.
Okay.
But this sort of feeds into the whole narrative about how like every time Spock has a romantic attachment like put in front of him, he's like, nah bro, I'm good. And like the whole thing feeds into this idea that like, it's I think Trey put it best when we were discussing Star Trek on Facebook somewhere. It's like, Spock will have a fling with other people, but he only loves Jim. And I'm like, I've watched the motion picture. That is so true.
Oh yeah.
Like it led to a lot of people seeing like Spock as a gay icon, basically, which nobody expected, to the point that apparently in the novelization of the motion picture, Kirk feels the need to explain how gay he isn't. So I just want to throw that out there.
Because that's a sign. Okay, anyway.
Right.
You wouldn't believe how not gay I am. I'm gonna prove it by really getting into musical theater. Because I'm confident. Okay, anyway.
I think maybe my favorite...
Was that too self-explanatory? Okay, anyway.
No. I think maybe the funniest thing to me is that like the whole reason that this plot with the spores unravels is because Kirk has the presence of mind to be the last person off the ship, and then realizes as he is the last person on the ship, he can't beam himself off. And he gets so angry that he can't leave. He realizes what affects the spores, and then he has to goad Spock into being angry enough for it to happen to him. And it's such a I don't want to say fun scene, but kind of revealing character scene. And Spock regains his composure, and he's like, "You said those things to hurt me."
Yeah.
And Kirk's like, "I'm sorry, I had to."
And then they kiss to show how not gay they are.
I mean, right? Yeah, more or less. I don't know. That's where my mind was with that one. I remember liking that one as a kid a lot more, not really getting it. But I was just like, I'm so happy Spock has a girlfriend. And now I'm like, that's not what this is about at all.
Well, he says he loves her, and then he climbed a tree.
Just to show how much he loves her. Yeah,
but again, anyway. But I mean, the classic Trek is different from how I remembered it. I watched a lot of classic Trek with my dad, who was a fan of it when I was younger, and I didn't get most of it. I liked the tribbles, I liked the punching. That things got blasted a lot, kablooey, and but like I didn't get much. This is my first time watching it as an adult, in any respect, and I can see why it was so beloved, and I can see why it was so influential.
Right.
But I don't know if I need to watch that much more. You know what I mean?
All right, I can help you. Can I give you a rundown of things established?
Go for it.
Okay. So let's see. We established that Vulcan is Spock's home planet in the Man Trap, the first aired episode,
Sure.
and that Vulcans purge their emotions to overcome their violent past.
Yep.
Sam Kirk is Jim's older brother, a research biologist, married with 3 kids, and lives on Earth Colony 2, which changes a bit later. Remus and Romulus. Vulcans are an offshoot of
Yep.
Romulans are an offshoot of Vulcans.
Sure.
Starfleet Command isn't mentioned until Arena, which is near the end of the first season. Going never seen before Arena. They actually predict that the moonshot was in the 60s,
Okay.
even though this was filmed in 66, because they go back in time one episode.
Okay.
Tomorrow is yesterday. They don't mention the Prime Directive until Return of the Archons. And a Federation of Planets is finally name dropped in the Taste of Armageddon. And this introduces the first time that a diplomat is on board being really aggressive and mean toward Kirk, and Kirk's just like, I don't want anything to do with you. And that's been a Star Trek trope ever since.
Yeah.
The other 2 reasons I wanted to mention that Spock may still have emotions despite denying he has them is that the botanist in This Side of Paradise insists she knows him better.
Yeah.
And then that's also where Spock first mentions that his father is a ambassador and his mother is a teacher and human.
Well, she mentions the human blood in his ancestry in the first episode, but
but he doesn't say
it's non-specific. It's non-specific. Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot about Spock, like they did that stuff on purpose so they could like layer it in later. Let's see, Klingons and the war between humans and Klingons was first introduced in Errand of Mercy.
Yep.
Worf's sash, I realize, is clearly based on cores from this episode. It looks very similar in Next Generation. The Organians predict the eventual peace between Klingons and humans in this same episode. Dilithium crystals are first mentioned, the alternative factor, although they're called lithium crystals in Where No Man Has Gone Before, I think.
Yeah, they got it half right. Physics joke. Okay, sorry.
But rather than being like what they focus matter antimatter through is just like their power source, and they don't really explain how that works.
Sure.
So yeah, now you know all about season 1. You don't have to worry about watching the rest of it anymore. You're welcome.
All right.
Oh.
Now the only reason I might is maybe the reason you do. If I start getting into modern Trek, I'll want to watch it to get that context.
Right.
That's the thing. Yeah. But anyway, but I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I was laughing at parts of it. You know, it's like watching early Doctor Who. You know, it's like, you know, some of it's all techno babble, and it's, you know, and it's like, oh, this is the moment they ran out of money and needed a way to wrap this up or something. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Star Trekking across the universe on the Starship Enterprise under Captain Kirk.
Yeah, I guess my final thoughts. I have a whole list of things that are of dubious canonicity, but I don't really feel like we have to go over that.
Okay.
Just beating a dead horse at that point. That they didn't have everything nailed down yet.
Yeah.
But I really liked coming back to the show as an adult, and also in light of Strange New Worlds.
Sure.
Especially watching the Menagerie, which, for those who don't know, takes scenes from the cage and like spreads it across 2 episodes. Apparently because Roddenberry was running out of ideas for the first 16 episodes that they had ordered. And it was a way to fill out the runtime. But it establishes Pike. It establishes Spock's loyalty to Pike, like that he would mutiny for him, basically.
Yeah.
And after watching Strange New Worlds, that first season, it feels like it explains that relationship sufficiently for why that would ever happen. So it comes around in a really nice way. Also, like the hair swoop that like Pike has in this episode is very reminiscent of how he looks in Strange New Worlds.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
Very weird, consistent detail. Yeah, definitely a product of its time. So many times that Kirk has to seduce a female officer into remembering her duty, which Next Generation fixes pretty much right away. But yeah. There's even an episode where like they even complain about how the female officers will leave as soon as they find a man, and then like that's the plot of the episode. It's just very upsetting.
Yeah.
But yeah, season 2 gets better. I don't know if we're going to talk about it anytime soon, but it's also shorter. It's not 29 episodes, but
Oh, okay.
yeah. At this point, I have to also admit that what got me watching this was our new sister show, Casual Trek, which is going to definitively rank every episode of every Star Trek series eventually. They have 2 episodes out as of this recording. By the time this episode goes live on our, might be a 3rd actually.
All right.
And it's very enjoyable so far. They've gone through 6 of the pilots of 6 sequential Star Trek shows.
Cool.
And they have other things that they're going to do. So I've been talking with Miles a lot about Star Trek in the last few weeks, and that really wanted to get me to like do another Trek thing. I've also talked about it a lot during the Pile of Shame videos, probably to the chagrin of some people, but it's
that's good. That's good. All right. We should probably do another podcast,
We
right?
should probably do another podcast. So yeah, no
Over on the other channel, yeah.
no listener comments this week, but this was fun. Let's do it again sometime.
It was, and if you're in our Discord, they've Satoshi's been going through all the episodes of Classic Trek as well, which I think is a nice cheat sheet as well.
Yeah, man. All right. So I guess until then, I'm going to drop the link.
Yeah.
For the next one here in the chat.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna do
yeah.
that.
Everybody, please join us. It's going to be a fun one. Maybe it'll have to be a little short, but yeah, it'll be
have
fun.
to be a little short, but
yeah.
I don't want to post as you though. Oh, I'm going to post as you.
Yeah, post as me.
There we go. Cool.
So everybody, click over to that one, please.
All right. I feel like I'm missing something. Hold on. Check my notes real quick. Oh yeah. Homework for you.
What's my homework?
All this space talk really wants me is leading me to want to talk about For All Mankind. So if you could watch that would be great. Just season 1 for now.
Okay,
it's much shorter,
that's
only
my
10
homework.
episodes that are an hour long instead of 30.
All right, and your homework is to finish Gravity Falls.
Oh God. Okay. I started. I haven't gotten there yet.
You got
All
it.
right.
You got it. It's
I'm on
good.
it.
It's good. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. And if you would
Okay.
like to leave homework for us, please join our Patreon.
Yeah. There we go. I think that's the requirement. You can suggest things and we'll take into consideration. But if you join the Patreon at patreon.com/famicomdojo, it might have a little more sway. Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Even $1
Yeah.
is better than an ad.
It's better than an ad.
All right.
Thank you for making it to the end of another episode of Two Boobs Watch the Tube. If you would like to support these boobs, please subscribe. Like us on iTunes and tell a friend. If you want to give us a big push up, donate to the Famicom Dojo Patreon found in the show notes. There you can also find info about sponsoring an episode and also info about the other great shows, and one bad one, on the Nerd and Tie Network. Until next time, keep it classy.
Never ends on the right